Today, we're going to take a look back at the life of a man who was for more than half a century just this constant, powerful force in American life. He was a civil rights leader, a presidential candidate, a global diplomat, and truly a voice for the voiceless. This is our retrospective on the incredible legacy of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. His recent passing at the age of 84 really does mark the end of an era. I mean, think about it. From the segregated South of the 1940s all the way to the incredibly complex world of the 21st century, his life didn't just span a massive transformation in America, he was one of the people who helped drive it.
So, to really get a handle on his full impact, we're going to walk through the key chapters of his life. We'll start with his beginnings as a protege in the civil rights movement, then look at how he built this new kind of coalition, his absolutely groundbreaking runs for the presidency, his surprising role on the world stage, and finally what it all means, the enduring legacy he leaves behind.
Jackson's public life really began alongside the most iconic figure of the entire movement. And he wasn't just another person in the crowd. He was a key lieutenant, handpicked by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself for his incredible drive and his knack for organizing. And his rise was just so fast. I mean, look at this. In 1965, he's marching in Selma. Just 1 year later, Dr. King trusts him to lead this hugely important Northern campaign, Operation Breadbasket, up in Chicago. And then, in 1968, he's there, on that balcony at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, a witness to a tragedy that would just change the course of American history forever. In that moment, with all that grief and chaos, the movement really did face a choice. It could have all just fallen apart. Jackson's words here, they just capture that resolve perfectly. They decided that they would not let Dr. King's dream die with him. Instead, they were going to carry that torch forward, and with even more fight than before. So after King's death, Jackson channeled all of that energy into building his own institutions. He took the principles he learned right at the source and expanded on them, making economic empowerment this central pillar in the fight for civil rights. You can see this really clear, strategic evolution in the organizations he built. It starts with him leading Dr. King's program, Operation Breadbasket. From there, he founds his own group, Operation Push, to really zero in on economic justice. Later, he launches the politically focused National Rainbow Coalition. And then finally, he merges them into the powerhouse that we know today as the Rainbow Push Coalition. And this wasn't just talk. Not at all. Operation Push, which stands for People United to Serve Humanity, had very specific, very tangible goals. They used direct action, things like boycotts and public pressure, to force major corporations to not just sell products to Black communities, but to hire from them, to promote from within them, and to actually partner with Black-owned businesses. The whole idea was to redirect corporate wealth back into the community. All of this work at the ground level, it eventually propelled him onto the national political stage in a way that no African American had ever managed before. His campaigns for president, they weren't just symbolic. They fundamentally changed the Democratic Party and really the entire landscape of American politics. I mean, the difference in just 4 years was staggering. In 1984, he's this historic candidate for sure, but to a lot of people, he's kinda on the fringe. He finishes a respectable third. But fast forward to 1988, and he is a political force to be reckoned with. He won 11 contests. He was the runner-up for the nomination. He proved that this broad coalition of working-class people, farmers, and all these different minority groups could be an incredibly powerful force in an election. And this quote, it's from his famous 1984 convention speech, and it just perfectly captures his whole vision. This is the Rainbow Coalition. In his own words, it was a pretty radical idea back then, this notion that the country's strength wasn't in everyone being the same, but in its diversity, in all its many different patches and pieces being woven together to make something stronger. Okay, so beyond domestic politics, Jackson carved out this really extraordinary and unique role for himself as an international negotiator. Often, he was acting without any official government approval. He would just fly into global hotspots and do the one thing governments couldn't seem to do, actually talk to the other side. This record is, well, it's simply remarkable. From meeting with Hafez al-Assad in Syria, to Fidel Castro in Cuba, Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and Slobodan Milosevic in Yugoslavia, I mean, time and time again, he put himself right in the middle of it, using his moral authority and his personal charisma to bring home Americans and other foreign nationals when official diplomacy had just hit a brick wall. So when we look back at this incredible life, from protege to pioneer, from activist to statesman, what's the central message here? What's really at the core of his enduring legacy? It really does come down to these three simple, powerful words. This was his signature phrase, right? His rallying cry, the closing line in countless speeches. But it was so much more than a slogan. It was a philosophy. It was this belief that no matter how bad things looked, no matter how powerful the opposition, the fight for justice had to continue. And it had to be fueled by this unwavering belief in a better future.
You know, Jackson often quoted Dr. King, saying the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But he always added his own crucial piece to that. You have to pull it to make it bend. His entire life was one long, powerful pull on that arc. And so the question his legacy leaves for all of us is a pretty challenging one. In a world that's still facing enormous challenges, who's going to do the pulling now?